And good morning to you. I'm Regina Lockwood, a residential realtor with Ferrari-Lund Real Estate, and this is All Things Home. Today it's a special edition of our program called Home is Possible for Heroes, and we're doing a seminar on how to take advantage of the grant programs that are available for those who've served in our nation's military. And I'm so excited to be joined here first with my usual sidekick, Doug Kaller.
How are you today, Regina?
I'm fabulous. I'm here on time. How's that for
That's
a good
wonderful.
start?
That's a good start to the day.
To a radio show, right, yes. And then, Doug, you're with who?
With our special guest, Dwight, who is one of the Home is Possible specialists at the Nevada Housing Division, the people who provide all these wonderful programs for home buyers and particularly for Nevada's heroes, their veterans and military personnel.
Very good. We're so glad to have you here, Dwight. And I actually meant, Doug, you're with Academy Mortgage. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Academy Mortgage here in Reno.
So I'm you're the mortgage specialist, I'm the realtor, and Dwight is with the program that gives you free money. That's how we shake out this morning, right?
I am, and good morning, and I appreciate you having me here today.
We're really delighted that you are here, Dwight, to be able to explain how the veterans can take advantage of some of the special funding programs, low interest rates, grant money, all the things that veterans need to know about to make sure that we take care of and get our heroes into homes. And the first thing I want to ask, Dwight, is let's take it from the very, very beginning, the most elementary state. How does one qualify as a vet who's eligible for these programs? Do they have to have put in a certain number of years of service?
No, this program is open to a number of groups. It's open to all active military personnel.
Okay.
It's open to all honorably discharged veterans.
Okay. No matter how long they've served?
Correct.
Okay.
They are open to surviving spouses.
Great.
And let's see, did we mention National Guard personnel?
You didn't, but
all National Guard service personnel are also eligible for this program.
Okay, so if you've even had 1 year and for whatever reason you were honorably discharged.
Honorably discharged.
There you go. Okay, well, what is the biggest thing that you like to tell us today about this program? What do you think it does for vets?
Well, the number one thing that this program does is it offers for our veterans a program that gives them a below market price rate, which is just outstanding. So if you're going to get a VA loan, it's good for VA loans or the USDA Rural Housing Development loans. They are going to get a rate that they can't get anywhere else. And this is kind of our way of saying thank you and being able to do something for them.
So the rate being the interest rate you're talking
Correct.
about, and that's the amount that's going to affect their monthly payment.
Correct. By getting a below market interest rate, they're going to be able to either buy more of a home or have a lower payment. So it gives them a big benefit.
Absolutely. And Doug, I know you deal with mortgages all the time, so people who have a lower interest rate, that's a really good thing because interest rates are already low.
Well, they're great right now, and, you know, there's talk that they're going to be increasing, which, you know, we certainly don't want to see. We want to see as many people be able to buy a home as possible, but with the Heroes program, the interest rate today is only 3.25% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And that is, you know, I mean, it's well below what market is. And this increases dramatically the price of the home that somebody will qualify for, or as Dwight was mentioning, it will keep the monthly payment way down so that it's much easier to afford their new home.
Absolutely. And you know, I wonder about the vets that know about this program, because I am a child of an Air Force retiree. Okay, I'm not a child anymore, unfortunately, but my dad did do 20 plus years in the military, and when I was speaking to him about this VA program and the no down payment and the interest rate benefit, he said, oh, well, I've already used my VA benefit. And how do you respond to those kind of things?
Well, first of all, if you no longer have a VA loan, you're eligible for to get a new VA loan.
Okay.
And the beauty of the VA loans are that there's no mortgage insurance on them. You're able to finance 100% of the purchase price.
Which means no down payment required.
Exactly. And if you're a first-time user of the program, there's an upfront funding fee, which is 2.15%. If you've used your eligibility previously, that increases to 3.3%. But any veteran who has a military-originated disability that is 10% or more is exempt from that funding fee. So
Okay, let me back you up just a second here to make it just so elementary that everybody understands. A funding fee is an amount of money that you pay to get the loan.
yes, it is. But the beauty of the VA program is they allow you to finance that into your mortgage.
So if I was getting a loan and a VA loan that required no down payment, but say my funding fee was $2,000, that's what it's costing me to do my VA loan. But you're saying I can put that into the loan so I don't actually have to come up with $2,000 hard dollars.
Right. If just to use an example, if somebody was doing a $200,000 purchase, that upfront funding fee would be $3,500.
Pretty big amount of money.
Pretty big amount of money. But you're able to finance that into your payment. You're going to pay it off a little bit each month, and it's the amount that it's costing you each month is negligible.
$20.
Right. And the biggest obstacle that we find for people buying a home is they don't have the money for a down payment. They don't have the money for closing costs. And so with Dwight's programs, we're able to address those needs and
Get the heroes into homes.
Exactly.
Right. So, okay, that brings to the next phase of Dwight's program here. Not only do we have those bargain interest rates because they're a vet and the opportunity to possibly waive their funding fee, but there's also a way for them to actually get cash in hand for the other closing costs they may have. Tell us about that.
Yes, if they're looking to the two programs, the Home is Possible for Heroes, that focuses solely on the low interest rate. If they are in need of any down payment assistance, then they would go to the Home is Possible program. This is where they can get up to 3 to 5% of the loan amount as down payment assistance. And so many of the vets are going to look to do the VA loan, first of all, because it's 100% financing.
Right.
But it is an option, and Doug may be able to address it a little more, why they choose, but between the down payment assistance or the low rate. But both are available to our veterans.
Okay. And before we go too much further, I should do a little housekeeping here and say that we are live this morning at the studios of Reno Town Mall, and we would love to have anybody who is interested in these programs, either the Home is Possible for Heroes for vets, or even if you just wonder about the down payment assistance that the state of Nevada offers. We're here and live at the Reno Town Mall. Would love to have you come in, and we will talk with you either on air or after our seminar so you can get all your questions answered. Or, of course, you can call in to 844-790-8255. And if you're too shy to call in, we understand. We can have a text question from you at 775-237-2266. So don't be shy. We can handle any question anybody wants to throw at us, can't we, guys?
We sure can.
Yeah, we'll give it our best shot anyway.
Yes.
So, okay, so we were talking about the grant program, and I as a realtor tend to think, not so much in percentages as in terms of dollars, but if I'm going out and I'm shopping with somebody for, say, a $300,000 house, and they qualify for this program, 3%, they could be getting like $9,000 to $11,000, $12,000.
Right. I met with people yesterday. We just closed a loan for them. It was a grant loan. They were not veterans, but they received a 5% grant on their home purchase, and they actually received $11,300. And they would not have been able to purchase a home without the help of the down payment assistance. And back to with the VA loan. Now, even though the Nevada Housing offers 3 and 5% grants with the for the veteran programs,
right,
actually you really don't need or want a grant for that program that's more than 3%. At 3%, it's going to cover all of your closing costs. You're going to be able to get into the home with a super low payment. The interest rate as of today is 4% for that program, which is fabulous. And, I was doing some calculations based on a median price house in the Reno market, which today is about $300,000. So
right,
there you're talking about a grant that is $9,000, and they can buy this house with absolutely no money out of pocket. If they were to go to the 4% grant or a higher amount than that, the interest rate goes up, and they're using the excess to pay down their principal, but their monthly payment ends up being higher. So, the 3% grant is the most efficient way to go with this program if you don't have money for the down payment.
So essentially, you're saying that they don't need as much free money as they can get because it ends up costing them a little bit more in the interest rate. And these are the kind of nuances of the program and specifics of their situation that you go over with them when they come visit you at Academy Mortgage, right?
It certainly is. We want to find the loan program that most benefits every one of our clients.
Okay, that's awesome.
Well, I tell you, going forward, using the example you're using,
Right.
it really hits two groups. If you do not have the money to have a down payment, then that's the first group. Obviously, this money will help them for the down payment. The second group is that may have just enough assets to get into a home, but boy, what a difference $9,000 in the bank would
I
mean to
know,
you as
yeah.
you walk through the door.
And they can just put that $9,000 in the bank.
Well, what they would do is they would use the down payment assistance and not use their own reserves, so
Okay.
they leave that money. But it makes all the difference. So, and part of Doug's job and what all lenders do is they are going to give those options, and they're going to know those people that are just getting there, and what a difference that makes for them.
You're right, because I have a client, they are not a vet right now, but I met her and she said, we've been saving and we have money for a down payment. And I said to her, well, you might want to save that money to remodel the house and put in new carpet and flooring and use the free money for the down payment.
Absolutely.
And that same theory is what you're talking about. That's what applies. So, well, that's awesome. But I guess I'm kind of going around in a circle here. But do you think veterans know enough about it is what I want to get out there? Dwight, maybe you're the one to answer that.
Well, that's pretty much why I was hired.
Okay.
My job.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here, is to get the word out, and that's what we're doing. No, there's a lot of people that don't know it, veterans in particular. We have actually, Doug and I belong to a group called VA Rep.
Called what?
VA Rep. It's Veterans.
VAREP?
VAREP.
Okay,
And it's the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals.
got it.
And I'll let Doug talk a little bit more about it. He's been there longer than I have, but we do have a summit coming up for veterans to explain all these things and to help addressing your question there.
Right, because it is tragic, even my own dad's example, that he didn't know he could buy another property using VA benefits because, 45 years ago he used it one time. He should
Right.
he should know, and shame on me, I should have educated him better, that he's got that again.
Well, and just real quick, with the VA Rep, they are having a veterans housing seminar 3 weeks from today. It's going to be over at the Northern Nevada real estate office over on Riggins Court.
Right, RSAR office, okay.
Right, which right behind the Meadowwood Mall.
Okay,
And this is going to be an opportunity for all our veterans to learn about the services, the housing services that are available, talk to lenders, talk to realtors, talk to, even if they're having trouble finding a rental home or whatever problems the veterans are experiencing in their lives, there will be people there to talk to them about them and help them get through these problems.
that sounds awesome, and I would bet there's probably some education credits for realtors too, so it makes it a double whammy of a benefit for everybody to attend that on March 19th at the RSAR office on Riggins Court. So we will promote that. We'll promote that on All Things Home when we have our
We
real
sure
estate
will.
show every Wednesday. So, okay, so what else did you want to tell us about making sure the veterans get every benefit they're entitled to, Dwight?
What they should know about this program and some of the benefits is that it's available statewide. So there's no
Okay.
restrictions. There's no county restrictions. If anywhere in Nevada, you're eligible for this program. There's a couple key requirements. It's got to be it's going to have to be their primary residence.
Okay, no rental properties.
No rental properties. The program goes up to a purchase price of up to $400,000.
That's
so
a
that's
pretty
still
good size house, yes.
still pretty good size house. Income requirements go up to $95,500.
Now, let me stop you there. Income requirement, that means you want to be below
Correct.
95,000. People always get that one wrong.
Correct. I should restate that. Yes, any income
limit.
is
Yes.
below $95,500 and below.
Okay.
So that again encompasses quite a few.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people walking around are not making $95,000. That's been my experience.
And our whole key for all of these programs, quite honestly, is to have as little footprint as possible, to be able to offer these programs. And the nice thing is that they go to their lenders. They, like with Doug, that we offer these programs and we have very few requirements, and we kind of try and stay out of the way and let the lenders do their job. You're not going to see a lot of paperwork from us or anything like that. It's you and your lender, and here's what we're just offering.
Exactly, and that's what makes it desirable when they go out and make an offer on a house, that they're not supplementing the offer with 3 layers of paperwork saying, I'm going to be using this special grant program.
Right.
Right.
One of the things that I would like to bring up in regard to all of that is that the veteran does have to live in the house, but you also can buy a multifamily house. You
Right.
can buy a duplex. Regina and I are working with a client right now who is buying a duplex over in Sparks, and so he's going to live in one unit and rent out the other one. We had another client that was looking at a fourplex. And if you're willing to live in one of the units, you can buy up to a 4-unit property, rent out 3 of the units, live in the other one, and live close to for free, I would guess. It would depend on what those units are able to rent for. But we were working with a client a couple weeks ago where he was looking at a fourplex over in Fallon, and he would have had positive cash flow each month of about $450 based on renting the 3 units and living in the 4th unit.
And positive cash flow means that he would have been able to use other people's money to pay the mortgage.
Exactly.
Everybody who paid him rent was going to pay enough money that it would cover the mortgage payment, and then he would still have had a couple of $100 left, $400 a month left.
Right.
That's what we call positive cash flow.
Right. His household expense would have been 0, and because the tenants were paying his mortgage payment, and then plus he was making a little profit above that.
And realtors love that, because we always think it's the smartest thing in the world if you can get somebody else to pay off your house. What a win-win for everybody.
Correct.
And in the duplex scenario that you and I are working on, I know that the payment is going to be about $1,450, $1,470, and right now those 2 units rent for over $900 each. So theoretically, if the payment is $1,400 for the buyer we're working with, right? Just call it 14 for easy math, and the other side is paying $900 for rent. Okay, well, that means that he's effectively going to pay $500 for his own living.
Exactly. And the big thing with that is that real estate, you're leveraging your money.
Right.
And in this particular case, he's buying the home with 100% financing. He's also using the grant money for all of his closing costs, so he's going to own this home with no money out of pocket, and he's going to be able to live there for next to nothing. And
$500 is next to nothing. I think that's pretty cheap living.
Right.
Yeah.
And as the months go by, the years go by, that home will appreciate in value.
Exactly.
And where can you make an investment like that? In this case, for no investment.
Right, because when we say the grant is covering the closing costs, that means that grant is going to refund to him his earnest money deposit. It's going to reimburse him for the money he paid for the inspections, like the home inspections, the pest inspections that VA loans require, and for the appraisal.
Exactly.
And so, truthfully, where can you buy a $260,000 item and not put a penny out of your pocket? That is just a really terrific example of what the benefit program and the Heroes for Homes program, Homes for Heroes, I guess.
Heroes for
Home is possible for heroes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Too many H sounds you're getting in there.
There is.
So, Dwight, did you want to say something on that?
One other thing that we offer, and again, that we should bring up, is the mortgage tax credit that is also a benefit. So we have a Home is Possible mortgage tax credit. And what that is basically, on an average, a home buyer can get up to, they average about $2,000 a year as a direct dollar-for-dollar tax credit. This is, again, available in all counties throughout the state.
Throughout Nevada.
Throughout Nevada. And Normally the cost on that is $995.
The fee that you pay to participate in the program
Is $995. Now, what we do is if you combine that with the Homeless Possible Down Payment Assistance Program, they actually get $500 back after closing. They
so
will
the cost becomes $400.
$495, and for our veterans and military personnel, there is no cost.
So it's free.
It's free.
Okay. And a lot of people get confused about a tax credit versus a tax deduction, because we talk all the time about homes and the interest rate on the interest you pay on a home is a tax deduction, which means if you make, let's call it $80,000 a year, and you get $10,000 in interest charges. I'm just doing simple math here
Yes.
from
Right.
my mind. Okay, so all of a sudden the government says, well, you only made $70,000 because we had your $80,000 minus your tax deduction of your interest. You're at $70,000, and at $70,000 you might owe $3,000 in taxes, making all this up.
Okay.
And then you have your mortgage tax credit, which gives you $2,000. All of a sudden, what are you sending into the government?
You would send in $1,000.
$1,000.
And she's pointing to 1 to make sure I know the math. I'm a little concerned that she didn't think I got that.
I don't know. I just muddled the example a little bit.
No, I've got you. The idea is in the tax credit, it comes right off your bottom line. If you're paying taxes, you'll be able to deduct that. It's many people are familiar with, say, a child tax credit, the
Right.
credit from child care. Acts the same way.
Right.
One thing that's important to note with the tax credit is you have to be paying taxes in order to get the credit. And one of the things that that I've run into with Nevada Housing Division when I've had people apply for the tax credit when I was first doing it, we'd send in the paperwork and they would call me up and they would say, this borrower doesn't have any tax liability, and since they don't have any tax liability, the tax credit's really not going to help them. And so, if somebody where that applies, I think sometimes to the veterans is a lot of veterans doing these loans and doing these programs, their income is coming from disability and military pensions and so on, and these people are not paying any taxes, and so in their particular case, it doesn't benefit them. But for the the average person that is out there working, making a living, and and is having 15% of their income deducted each week from their taxes, that person is going to get the benefit back at the end of the year.
Okay, so they might not be able to use that tiny portion of the program, but that's, again, another thing that they find out when they come see you, Doug,
Yes.
at Academy Mortgage. And they can call you to make an appointment at what number?
They can call me at 775-828-7006, or they can reach me on my cell phone, which would be 775-250-4421.
And I hope everybody here is getting the sense that Doug is a master at these programs. He knows all about the Home for Heroes and Home is Possible for Heroes. See, I keep making that mistake, but he knows all about that program and the other programs offered by the Nevada Housing Division, and just also traditional loans and regular conventional financing.
A regular VA loan, but for people who are veterans, I really don't believe there's anything that's on the planet that can compare with these programs that we're able to do through Dwight and the Nevada Housing Division.
So, we really ought to do more of this, like we're talking about with the seminar for veterans, to promote this benefit for people who've already served. And I think we also should be telling our young people. I have an 18-year-old son who I think might be appropriate for the military, and I'm thinking here, man, I better go home and tell him, hey, son, you better think about getting a house and taking advantage of all these things down the line because you did your service.
Right. And one of the I've done the Home is the Heroes program, the low interest rate for people who are members of the National Guard working over at the the Reno Tahoe.
The Armory, isn't it?
Well, the Reno Tahoe airport, where is the Nevada National Guard over there, Air Guard, and some of these people are not veterans. They're members of the Guard, so they would not qualify for a VA loan. And we were able to do loans for them with this super low interest rate, assuming that they had the down payment, or they were able to they could do the the down payment assistance program, the beauty is that when, you know, those people will definitely qualify for the tax credit that we were talking about, and that free tax credit is extended to the people working for the Guard. It's extended to people who are in the reserves. Basically, anybody who is has protected or is protecting our way of life gets that tax credit for free.
So it again, just to reiterate, they may not get the heroes. The home is possible for heroes, but they can use some of the other programs to get funds if they need a grant, and then they can get the low interest rate on the Home is Possible for Heroes program, and then they can also layer on top of that the mortgage tax credit. So that's like 3 different benefits that they can get, even if they've just been in the Guard.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And you know, I mean, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for those people. I mean, it amounts to thousands of dollars. And
well, nobody walks around giving me free money in any other venue, you
no,
know. So,
you know.
So one other thing I wanted to talk about real quick here, Dwight, you had asked me as a realtor, because I am Regina Lockwood, residential realtor with Ferrari-Lund Real Estate, and I'll give you my phone number a little bit later, but I present a lot of offers from people that are veterans, and we were talking about sort of a dirty little secret. You want to go into that?
Well, the question I had, that as I go out and inform people of these programs, one of the things that I'd heard from realtors is that when they make an offer using a VA loan, it seems to be that if there's 3 or 4 offers on the table,
Right.
the VA loan is kind of kicked to the back and other offers, because there's a perception that it's more difficult loan to get through. Mm-hmm. And I was asking you if this is accurate.
You know, it is accurate that definitely there's a pecking order when an offer is submitted. And first of all, cash is king. You know, you're just never going to get around that. Cash is king. If somebody's coming in, there's multiple offers, and somebody's paying cash, and the seller doesn't have to wait around for the loan to be approved or wait around to see if the house is going to appraise for the selling price. That wins every time. Then second, there's conventional financing, and the reason conventional is considered a stronger offer is because typically the person is putting a larger down payment down, and that makes the seller feel that the buyer has more skin in the game and probably a little bit more credit and financial stability. Okay, so conventional is second place. The third would come the FHA loan. Okay, and that is the one where the Federal Housing Authority program, where they put 3.5% down as a down
Correct.
payment. Okay, and that's a very, very common loan. It allows you to keep your money and do other things with your cash, like remodel or you know, put in new floors or something like that. So that's very common, and people are familiar with it, but it definitely is the third place position. And then the fourth position is, Dwight, as you were asking, the VA loan. And that has been because VA appraisals have historically taken longer to get done. The veteran is putting no money down, so the seller is afraid that they have no skin in the game and that they could easily walk away from the transaction. And third, because there are fees that the veteran is not allowed to pay that the seller must pay, so there's almost an expense to the seller for having somebody submit a VA loan. Okay, so now you're going to ask me, one of you, how do we get around that?
How do we get around that, Regina?
Okay, and the way we get around that is that you make sure that even if your vet doesn't have to put more than $1,000 in earnest money, you want to put a bigger amount down, because guess what? At the end, they get it back. But it makes your offer look good. If you put $2,000 or $3,000 or $2,500 and down for earnest money, the seller knows that you're serious. The other thing you can do is, if the house is like the one I was just dealing with, we were doing a condo, we were selling it for $135,000. Well, the VA person raised the offer to $137,000 and offered a smidge more, because likely the appraisal is still going to come in, and the seller will get a tad more money to compensate for the expenses that the seller has to pay on the outflow. Okay, and then there are things that the seller can't pay, or excuse me, that the buyer can't pay, like the escrow fee. So when we typically split that, you know, if we're doing an escrow, you and I would split the escrow fee, and then you and I would split the transfer taxes. Well, if the vet can't pay the escrow fee and the seller has to pay it, well, guess who pays the transfer tax?
The vet.
Yeah, You
Just flip them, and it works out fine. We do that every day.
Exactly, and it just makes it so that the net to the seller is the same as if you were taking another offer. And you need a smart realtor and somebody who's astute with dealing with veterans to make the VA's offer just as strong and just as palatable to a seller as any of the other offers. Did that all answer your question?
It did,
Dwight?
and it just, as I told you before, though, that would get me a little fired up if I'm a vet, where I'm kind of going into this firsthand and kind of learning about this, that it makes sense now that I'm going to, if I'm listening to this show, I want a realtor that understands kind of the nuances of what's needed.
Right.
That my offer will be as good as, if not better than what else is being offered.
Absolutely. You do need to make sure that you take the extra steps to make that VA offer just as attractive, okay, so that it doesn't end up in fourth place. And then, everything, perception is reality and everything, and so you have to put a little spin on your offer. We often send in letters and send in notes explaining about our buyer, and you appeal a bit to the patriotism of the seller.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you tell them this is a vet, the person that served in our country, and they want to use their benefit, and we are sure you want to make sure they get that thank you for their service by taking my offer, right?
That is correct. And you know what? I mean, these people, we mentioned it before, but for all you listening, thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
And, I mean, this is what allows us our way of life, and we wouldn't have it without you. And, for us, it's just so important that you be honored with these programs.
With the benefits to which you are entitled.
Right.
Okay. So what else you got for us, Dwight? What other point did you want to make about the program?
Well, now you're putting me on the spot. We've touched just about everything.
We've got lots to talk about here.
We've got the other thing Doug and I were talking about is from the perspective of the program and the financing. It is perceived that many times the VA loan, from a lender's perspective, is a little more work or a little more difficult. And it seems like someone like you that has done it so much, it's not really that big of a deal.
I think the key is that processors, underwriters, doctorers, and funders that understand the program, we find that doing, both the veteran loans, doing the Home is Possible program or the Heroes program, they are no more difficult for us than any other program that we do. We can close them in a timely fashion, and it's a matter of being familiar with them and working with people all the time. And my underwriter is underwriting these every week, and so it goes very smoothly. One thing that I wanted to bring up, just maybe changing the subject a little bit, is we didn't talk about the credit aspect of the program. And with all of the Home is Possible programs, the minimum
credit score.
Credit score is a 640. And, everybody should have 3 credit scores, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. But with a mortgage, we throw out your high score, we throw out your low score, we go by your middle score. We refer to that as your qualifying score. But that has to be a 640 for all people who are on the loan. And I get, calls from people all the time. A lot of veterans have had some ups and downs in their life.
A lot of people have had some ups
and downs.
Right.
And so, and in fact, when we were marketing this seminar, we had a comment on Facebook about, all the veterans that are out of work and disabled and whatnot, that, why are you doing this program? So, the people who really need it can't qualify. Well, what we do is we like to meet with you, go over your credit, and in many cases, we are able to help you with, really just by paying down some accounts or whatever.
Strategies for improving your
credit. And, right now, Regina and I have clients who are buying a home with a VA loan. When we first met with them last fall, they could not qualify for any mortgage.
Right.
And, we were able to raise it was just the one borrower that score was a problem, but we were able to raise her score by over 100 points. and went from somebody who could not buy a home to somebody who now has a 100% VA loan, and they're going to be buying, they're buying a beautiful home in Sparks for, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Closing escrow next week, I believe. So,
hopefully.
Yeah. But to go back to what you were saying, though, about, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. I don't know. We were talking just before you talked about the credit. You were saying something about, I don't know. Oh, whatever. There are strategies, I guess, would be the thing I'd want to say. And one of the strategies I know you use a lot at Academy Mortgage is that you may not put both borrowers on a loan in order to get them to qualify.
Right. The key with that, though, is that where that applies to the Home is Possible programs, where we've got the $95,500 maximum income. With a VA loan, we do have to include the spouse's liabilities.
Their bills.
Their bills. But if the spouse does not have good credit and the veteran has sufficient income, we can purchase the home just in the veteran's name. We do have to include the spouse's liabilities with a VA loan, but we can do it just in the veteran's name. And so somebody who would not qualify for the grant would not be able to, get into the home with no money out of pocket. We're now able to get that person into the home with no money down.
See, that's great. And I thought of what I was going to say. When you were saying that those programs are no more difficult, I wanted to make sure that our veterans and everybody out there who's listening understands, don't let people talk you out of using these benefits. You are entitled to them, and they are not a hassle for the lender, and absolutely you should be finding somebody for your mortgage needs that understands that you want to use these programs and that they are pretty seamless. So
right. What we've been told by a lot of the agents is that, some of our competitors are telling them that, oh no, you don't want your client to use this program because you're not going to be able to close on time and so on. And that's just not it's just not the case.
No, I've heard that, and that is not the case. It just means that it might be a little bit more work for the lender, but don't get a lazy lender would be that.
Well, to me, it's key that if anyone listening again is that they need to be a little proactive in choosing their lender and realtor.
Right.
That now that they've heard this, that they've got to discuss this.
Right. And who would you recommend as a realtor, Dwight?
Regina. Yes.
That's right. Regina Lockwood of Ferrari-Lund.
Regina Lockwood of Ferrari-Lund. Actually, there is something I need to mention, and
Sure.
I would be shot if I didn't bring it up. We launched a new website 2 days ago.
Oh,
so
okay.
everything we're discussing is at homeispossiblenv.org. And what that'll do is it's going to talk all about the Home is Possible programs, whether it's Home is Possible down payment, for Heroes, the mortgage tax credit. There's a section there where very easy, you can go in, it's borrowers, they click on there and can get all the information. There's a place for lenders where they're going to be able to go. There's going to be a future spot for realtors where they're going to be able to go and actually have some homes on there. And this is going to be just a phenomenal resource.
So you can market your programs and your benefits, and then the realtors can market their familiarity so that they can be the one the vet calls.
Absolutely. We wanted to make this to where, if you go, sometimes you have to go to websites, you have to search.
Right.
We didn't want you to have to search, and so you go there. It's very clear, and I think people are going to find this very exciting and very easy to work with to get all the information they need.
That's awesome. And so the department, the housing division, is really pouring a lot of resources into making sure that the vets know about these programs.
They are. We've mentioned before, Governor Sandoval, when this came out, has made it a goal to make Nevada the most friendly military and veteran state in the country.
State, right.
And so this is just a huge project for us. And we do, right now, our goal is we've done about 4,800 of these loans in the state since this was launched in September of 2014. Our goal this year is to do 4,500 more, at least in this. And our veterans make up right now about 10% of that, and our goal is about 15%. We want to increase that.
Increase the percentage of veteran
And
participation.
we have 30 VA loans this month alone that have been reserved. So we're very proud of that.
That's terrific. And Doug and I are doing some of them. So
Yes.
we're getting to the end here where we're going to wrap up our program on down payment workshop with our Home is Possible for Heroes and other programs at the Nevada Housing Division for vets. And I just want to let you know that I'm Regina Lockwood of 775-843-5133. Oh, you're telling me we got more time.
You got 15 more minutes.
Oh, gosh. Well,
I'm
see,
sorry.
that little clock going 16 seconds was throwing me off. Okay, well, then we can keep talking, because usually we have commercial breaks, but today, since we're doing a special seminar, we're not doing commercial breaks, so I goofed.
I was wondering how you're going to handle that.
Well, you just admit you goofed, you know? So, anyway, okay, so we're saying that you want to increase the participation of veterans actually using the program.
We do, and I think you had brought it up before. How do they know about this? Our whole goal with the VA rep group that we mentioned, their summit, my participation with home buyers and lenders and realtors, we're just trying to get the word out in any possible way. Shows like this are outstanding to keep get them informed of what their benefits are.
Right. And then what you're doing to market to the realtors and everything is phenomenal. You've really been very, very good about making sure we know about these programs. And Beth, what are you going to say?
Something else that people can do is that they can learn about this, these events, these programs on Facebook. They can follow either Dwight at the Nevada Housing Division's Facebook page.
Okay.
And they can follow me at Doug Kaller Academy Mortgage on Facebook, and I am constantly, posting information about these programs so people can know the ins and outs of them, when there are events like this one, so that people can be aware of them. They can share them with their friends, and make more veterans aware of the programs that are available to them.
And I have a Facebook page too.
Yes, you do. You can follow Regina at Regina Wood Lockwood.
Well, the actual professional page is Reno Realtor Regina Lockwood.
Okay.
But you can, yes, become a Facebook friend of Regina Wood Lockwood. I always make fun of my own last name. I went from Wood to Lockwood, and I say I got locked in. But anyway, I would be happy to accept your friend request. You can't have too many friends.
And so would I.
And part of my position that I'm learning is to set up a Facebook, and I did that yesterday. So it's not much experience
you're new
with
to
that.
Facebook.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So what can you do?
Well, this job is growing you in all directions.
It is completely outside the box.
Well, good for you, and you're doing an awesome job. This is twice now we've had you on the radio.
Yes.
So you're going to be a very proficient broadcaster at the end
By
of
the 10th or 11th or 12th
Right.
time, yes.
Exactly.
You'll be back with us in 6 weeks, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what else, Doug, do you think is important that we go over to make sure people are familiar with this program?
Well, the key is just that this is, I think we need to reiterate that the fact that people can use this, the people that I met with yesterday, they did a little video for us, and, what they said was, we wanted to buy a home, we didn't think we could.
Right.
And with these programs, the fact that they were able to get the down payment assistance, they're now a homeowner, and they bought an absolutely beautiful home, and, it was a pipe dream without the help of the down payment assistance programs. And with this, we did a lot of numbers and so on, but I find that the numbers over the radio are a little bit difficult for people to grasp.
Right.
One thing that we talked about recently is that home prices are increasing. Over the last year, home prices in the Reno market, as you know, appreciated about 11%. And there was a recent study by Black Knight Financial where they were talking about how back in when home prices were the highest, people were spending about 33% of their gross income, their before-tax income, for their housing expense, their mortgage and taxes and insurance.
So that's a third of the amount of money that they took home, and actually not even the money they took home. It's
No, it was a third of the money they
earned.
Right.
Which could be 50% of what you took home.
Right. And right now, that is down to about 21% as far as median price home and a median income family on a national basis. And so what they're saying is that if home prices continue at the rate that they're appreciating right now, which is 11%,
That's a
so
lot. Yes,
you
that's a
know,
lot.
over the next 2 years, that's about 24%. It's 11% this year and 11% of the total of that the following year. And then if interest rates were to increase 0.25% this year, 0.25% the following year, within 2 years, we would be back to a point where people were spending, that 33% of their
Gross income.
pre-tax income on housing. So the beauty of owning your own home is, you know what your payment is going to be. It's not going to change for as long as you own that home. You're locked in for that, into that payment for the next 30 years. And, as a homeowner, you don't like the color of the wall, you can change it. You want to put in a beautiful garden or grow tomatoes, you have the ability to do that. And so there's just so many advantages to owning your own home, but the big one is that you have, financial certainty.
Exactly. And, that you're basically arguing for do it now.
Well, I am. And, you and I have been working together a long time, and we helped a lot of people buy a home within the last couple of years, and many of those people, if they had waited till now, couldn't buy a home.
Right.
And so the people who can afford to buy right now, many of those people a year from now cannot afford to buy a home. 2 years from now, they won't be able to afford a home. And I think the thing that's so difficult for you and me is that when we, first of all, we're approving people for so much more than what we were in the past, and you look for a home that's $200,000 or below
There aren't
200.
many, right.
Yeah, I mean, what can people buy where a short time ago they were able to buy a very nice house? And what does the future hold for people who qualify for 200,000, 250,000? It's just going to become more and more difficult.
They're out in the outlying areas. They're further away from the center of town because that's where they'll find houses that are in that 250 range, if they find one. And then thinking of a couple that I'm working with now, there's multiple offers on any of those houses that are any good.
Right.
And so you're really struggling to get your offer accepted. So it's not going to get any better. And I keep bringing up the massage gal that was giving me a massage and telling me, I'm going to save for 2 years and then my husband and I are going to buy a house. And I said to her as I'm laying on the table there, you can't save enough.
No.
The prices and the interest rate are going up faster than you could save. You got to do it now.
Well, and the other side of things is the rents. With all the influx of people that are coming in, that we all know, everyone knows
Right.
what's coming. I saw in January they had a national report that Reno went up the second most in rents
Yes.
in the country.
Yes.
Right.
Went up, I think, 11% or something. So I think most people can feel that there is a pressure. It's difficult to find even any place to rent, and those prices are going up. So every indication in the world is if you're even thinking about making a move, now is the time, not only because of rates, the increase in homes, increase in rents, everything is there that, a year and a half, 2 years from now, if you look back, you're going to be...
Coulda, shoulda.
Coulda,
Yes.
woulda, shoulda. Yeah, so say that in golf.
There.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Well, the thing too is that when the prices are going up so much for the houses, that often makes the owner of the house decide not to keep it as a rental, but to actually go ahead and sell that house, and then that displaces the people who are living in there as a rental, as renters, and then they go and they try to replace what they had for a rental situation, and they're shocked. They're paying $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 in rent, and by golly, that's a house payment.
That is.
Well, right. And, the other thing is, you were mentioning the 11% increase in rent. It used to be about 2% a year. So people's rent went up $25. Right now, we're...
$25, not a very
Right.
big deal.
Right. Now we're seeing, people's leases run out, and the landlord wants to increase their rent by $100, $200, $300.
Right.
And so they just, and there's nothing out there.
And their pay rate is not going up by
No,
that amount.
their income hasn't increased. Something interesting that I learned is that with all these companies coming into Reno, they're redoing the Sienna Casino as a hotel, and my understanding is that Tesla and Switch have reserved 150 rooms in the Sienna for the next 2 years to house their employees, because there's just, no housing available.
If they can't put them someplace to have a comfortable living situation, they will not be able to hire.
Exactly.
And so that's what they're trying to provide for their clients or their employees and prospective employees, is someplace that they can actually stay and afford, because it's so challenging around here now to get a rental property.
Right. And so, if you own it, you don't have to worry about a year from now your lease expiring and you're, having to go and find another place.
Right. The other thing I wanted to mention too, Doug, is that with things going up so much, people might qualify, and I often have people that qualify for a certain mortgage amount, but they actually wisely do not want to purchase a house at that price point, because who wants to be what we call house poor? You've got this great comfortable house, but you have no money to go out to dinner. Is that any fun?
It's no fun at all. And, and we try to encourage people to, to buy things that are a little less of what their maximum would be. First of all, it makes getting the loan through much easier.
Right.
But as far as the, you don't want to, a year from now, 2 years from now, learn that these wonderful people that you met, that, you became friends with and so on, have lost their house because of, some unfortunate circumstance.
Right. That is a total bummer. It's a real joy as a realtor to get somebody into a home, especially somebody that thought maybe that they weren't going to be able to afford a house, and to get them in, man, that is really spectacular. Or I just did a situation with one of my very first customers I'm still in touch with, one of home buying clients, and we purchased a house for $125,000, a 4-bedroom, 2-story, large home in Lemon Valley for $125,000 at the bottom of the market, and she was just able to refinance it for, I think it was $250,000, and they were able to pull equity out and start a business.
Oh, wow.
So it was just, what a great feeling that you are a participant in something like that. And that's the kind of thing we want to be able to do. We don't want to hear that you couldn't afford the payment and the house went back to the bank.
Right, exactly.
And Nevada Housing Division doesn't want to give grants and have the house go back to the bank either, Dwight, right?
No, and that's one of the keys for our program, as opposed to the troubled times we all know about, 2000, in the mid-2000s. What I liked about it is that they're all 30-year fixed loans. There's no variable loans. This is real straightforward. And as Doug said, you need a 640 credit score, and their full documentation. Everything is up front, because our goal is for them to stay in the house. In fact, we require, one requirement we do have is that they have a homebuyer continuing education course, a homebuyer education course. And that, because we think that's so important, we want them to fully understand every aspect of what they're doing as they go into the purchase.
And that course is so valuable, because not only does it talk about the nuances of buying a house, it also talks about basic strategies for paying your bills and making sure you pay on time, and that you get not docked for late things, which totally mess up your credit.
Right, and the upkeep of the home. I mean,
That's important too.
Yeah. I mean, we can afford to buy, just, we do the numbers, I can afford to buy that. But if you can't afford to take care of it,
right,
you're in
because
trouble.
It's too big of a yard, or it's got a swimming pool, or it's got, all kinds of horse property or something like that. You cannot maintain the value unless you keep that property up.
There was, you were asking if there was something else that I wanted to talk about. And the other thing with this program is we can do manufactured homes.
Ah, awesome.
And now the one difference with the manufactured home is that they require a 680 credit score rather than the 640 credit score, and your grant amount is 1% less with the manufactured home than what it is for a stick-built home. But so many of the, the entry-level priced homes, that's what they are, and you can do a VA loan for a manufactured home, get the grant money, and become a homeowner.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, we're going to wrap things up for real this time. I got the clock right this time, and we're going to ask Dwight Millard. Dwight Millard.
That's all right. Actually, we worked together for a while, and we worked I'm quite used to that.
To being called Dwight Millard. Dwight Pace from Nevada Housing Division. Tell people how they would reach you.
They can reach me at it's 687-2036.
In
or
the 775 area code.
775, and my email is dpace@housing.nv.gov, and be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, and Doug Kaller, mortgage guy extraordinaire, how do they reach you?
They can call me direct at 775-828-7006.
Okay, and what's that?
How can they reach you, Regina?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, once they've got their grant and their financing all straightened out, you want to call me. I'm Regina Lockwood of Ferrari-Lund Real Estate, and I'm available at 775-843-5133. Thanks so much for joining us.